When hurricanes and tropical storms hit, you can get wind, you can get rain, storm surge, tornadoes, and of course, flash flooding. And it can all cause immense damage, not to mention the immediate danger to people's lives.
For first responders, swift water rescues can be extremely dramatic. In these heart-stopping events, heroes have to put their own safety on the line to pull people from the deadly currents.
The city of Lauderhill, Florida is a bedroom community of 66,000, just outside of Fort Lauderdale. It sits on what used to be thousands of acres of dairy farm. Today, cows and grazing pastures have been replaced with golf courses, lakes, and neighborhoods.
Lauderhill is very diverse. We have a community that's younger towards the east side, and the west side is older community. Lots of different ethnicities, cultures, and things like that. It's very diverse.
Because Lauderhill is right on the Florida coast, it's definitely susceptible to hurricanes. That seasonal threat of tropical cyclones keeps Florida's first responders on their toes.
During hurricane season, the call volume tends to pick up twofold here in the city because you're not only covering your zone, but when other trucks go out of zone, you've now got to back up their zone, and sometimes even departments are asking for our help as well.
Luckily, these paramedics and firefighters prepare for just such events.
Training is very important because without it, we can't be good at what we do. We need to maintain the skills that we have so we can do the job properly.
One of our models is prepare for the worst, providing the best. We're always ready for that, to kick it into full gear.
But in November 2020, as Hurricane Eta barreled toward Lauderhill, few in the department could have predicted the type of rescue that they were about to perform.
Leading up to that day, there was a lot of rain in Florida. It was really just, it was saturated. South Florida was saturated. I've never had this experience before where my backyard at my house was flooded.
By the time Eta made landfall on November 9th, it had been downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm, but it still dropped more than a foot of rain on the state.
When I came in, I told my crews, I go, this day is going to be a bad day. And we were all agreeing, but we were all prepared for it.
As Eta hovered over Lauderhill, the heavy downpour began overflowing lakes and canals, flooding entire city streets.
We were seeing it throughout the day, how the water levels were rising. We barely could even get through the roads, and the rain wasn't going to stop.
As the firefighters responded to stranded vehicles on flooded roads, they got one very alarming call.
As we're coming back to the city of Lauderhill, we hear a call come in for a swift water rescue. And I was like, well, we don't hear that often. At first you're like, okay, swift water rescue, where is that going to be?
What they didn't know yet was that a 55-year-old man had accidentally driven over the side of his apartment parking lot and into a flooded canal.
Somebody drove into the lake right here by our condos. The car is floating right here in the lake.
You can't really see the lines on the roadway. You don't know where the curbs are. You don't know, if over there is going to be a 6-foot drop or not.
Firefighters Lombardi and Moniz rushed to the scene.
While en route, the updates kept coming in that there's someone trapped, maybe 2 victims.
Someone's in the vehicle? Yes, they banging on the window.
There was no time to lose, but because of the storm, it was not going to be easy to get there.
Because the roads are flooded, so we can't get there as fast as we'd like to get there. So everything kind of just slows down.
To save time, the two men quickly began devising a rescue strategy.
So me and Marty came up with a plan while en route to the call. I said, Mike, I'm going in the water. When we got there, we saw the car basically nose down in the water, slowly moving along the canal.
There's all these bystanders, and everyone's going, he's in the car, he's in the car, he's in the car. You're not really processing what's going on, but you know that there's somebody in there, that somebody is trying to get out.
Coming up, firefighters have to make a split-second decision.
You could already tell that the car was filled with water.
And I was just like, what are we doing? What are we going to do?
But first, a tip to keep you safe.
Though technology can often seem confusing and overwhelming, there are aspects to it that can help save lives.
Some might not know this, but cell phones with voice recognition can actually call 911 for you in case you're in need of critical help. Simply command your phone to dial 911 and get the help you need.
Use technology to your advantage, because your life is the most precious possession you could ever own.
In November of 2020, Tropical Storm Eta was pounding the Florida coast with up to 14 inches of rain. Within the city of Lauderhill, it was flooded, and one guy drove his car accidentally into a rushing canal. Firefighters Joel Moniz and Michael Lombardi were on the scene in minutes.
As we get in, the canal, the car started to sink further and further down the canal embankment.
When I saw that, we knew we had to secure the vehicle somehow, some way. That's when this came up with our plan, that we needed a rope. I threw it over to someone, a bystander, who wrapped it around a tree.
Putting their own safety aside, Lombardi and Moniz made their way out to the sinking vehicle.
All I thought was, I got someone trapped in the vehicle. We need to get this person out.
The two men tied the rope to the car, and that would keep it from floating away. At the same time, Good Samaritans rallied to help.
There was like 10 people on shore that were all in unison trying to pull this car up to prevent it from going down further.
Meanwhile, firefighter and paramedic Stephen Rivera heard the call that there was a swiftwater rescue in progress.
Once we heard the updates that our partners were in the water, that's when the regular stress becomes super stress. We gotta go, we gotta get there, because they need help.
As Rivera arrived, firefighters Moniz and Lombardi were desperately trying to get the man out of the sinking vehicle, but all the doors and windows were locked.
Now, you could already tell that the car was filled with water.
I was looking at Joel, and I was just like, what are you gonna do? What are we doing? What are we going to do?
Luckily, Joel had a special tool called a center punch that's designed to break out car windows.
That's another one, but...
So I then grabbed the center punch, and we popped the window, clearing out all the glass. I came back up for air. Lombardi went down and felt around.
I felt something squishy, and I was like, I don't know what this is. And I looked at Joel, and I said, I think I got this guy. And he's like, well, let's pull him up.
We pulled him up to the surface. We pulled him to the shore where I had my paramedic crew. Mike and I handed him off to them.
Paramedic Stephen Rivera began life-saving resuscitation, but the man had been underwater for several minutes, and he was not breathing.
So we got him on the backboard, started doing compressions. He showed signs of life, you know, just a little gasp here and there. The bystanders, they were cheering us on. They were looking at him, and he was like gasping. For us, we get motivated and we do our job even better.
It was really an uplifting moment. You know, like, I think we have an opportunity to really do something right now.
The man was gasping, but still unable to breathe without assistance.
We're trying to get all the water out of his stomach, and then he started to breathe on his own, so he came back.
They rushed him to the hospital in critical condition. Incredibly, he made a full recovery, and it was all thanks to the heroic efforts of the members of the Lauderhill Fire Department.
To come back and recover after that, after being dead for 5-10 minutes, that doesn't happen. You could ask any doctor what the statistics are. That doesn't happen.
It was a humbling experience just to be a part of that rescue team that day. It was definitely, you know, it definitely puts things into perspective.
To know that that man's walking the earth still is because of us who were in here. So it's awesome.
You could give somebody a gift, but if you save their life, there's no words for that. If you could give me a Ferrari or a house or $1 million, I would prefer to save this guy, because that feels better.
Now, whether it's firefighters, police, or paramedics, I know that I'm grateful, you're grateful. We really all should be grateful for these brave men and women.
These are the people who are always trained and prepared whenever a disaster strikes. We'll see you next time on Hearts of Heroes.